In this section, I want to talk about the SOLIDWORKS Task Scheduler. The SOLIDWORKS Task Scheduler can be used for many different tasks, but rendering is probably one of the most useful ones that we want to talk about here. Once you set up your scene, you set up your materials, you set up your camera view, you can use the schedule render option to schedule that render. And the reason this is important is because renders can take several minutes to several hours, and you can very easily waste a lot of time that you could spend modeling, adding details, and refining. So when you use the schedule render, we can go ahead and set it up for a certain time, a certain date, and make sure that we have all of our settings correct. For instance, our render quality and all of the different output settings that we want to go through in our PhotoView 360 options. If you want to have bloom, if you want to have direct caustics, if you need to have contour rendering on or off and those line thickness settings, you have all those options listed here for you to tell you what they're set for, but make sure that everything is set how you expect. It's awful to have something scheduled to run in the middle of the night and you come back to find out that you didn't have the image size correct or that you forgot to turn on bloom or whatever the case might be. Check all these settings and go ahead and schedule your render. Make sure that you save it to the correct location and make sure that everything is running proper. Now, once we say finish, we can go ahead and open up SOLIDWORKS Task Scheduler. It can be found under your SOLIDWORKS install folder, under SOLIDWORKS Tools, and Task Scheduler. Now, once you open this up, you'll notice that we have a current image scheduled to render. I'm actually going to go ahead, select it, and delete it. I don't need to render this. But what you'll find is that you can set up multiple scenes, multiple views, multiple renders, and they'll all be compounding. So once the first one finishes, the next one will start, and then so on and so on. This is a great way for you to set up those longer renders that need to take a lot of time, especially if you're rendering an animation. But most likely, if you're rendering a single image, it usually won't take hours. But if you want to set up maybe 10 or 15 different images, you can do all the pre work to set up all the views, set up all your cameras, set up all your materials, render it out, maybe change a material. For instance, this plastic, if we want to do a black speaker, we can go ahead and set it up black, the same camera view, the same lighting, the same image, schedule that render, change it again, schedule the render, run it again. That way, when you come back in the next day, you'll have all your images ready for you, stored in a folder, and you can look at, make any changes, make any tweaks, schedule those renders for later that next evening or over your lunch break or whatever the case might be. The SOLIDWORKS Task Scheduler is a very handy tool and something you should definitely consider or use, especially when you're dealing with more complex scenes, larger environments, renders that you know are going to take quite a bit of time. Do all the pre render work first, look at your preview window, final renders at lower quality settings, lower sizes, set everything up for that final render, and schedule it to run a later point in time.